50%. Half of all jobs on Earth, just gone, vanished, wiped out by artificial intelligence. That's the terrifying headline you've probably seen spreading like wildfire across the internet and whispered about in offices. It paints a bleak picture of a future where humans are obsolete and millions are left without work. The idea is simple and it's terrifying, but what if I told you the data tells a completely different story? We're going to dig into where this scary number came from and show you what the real numbers say is happening to the global workforce. Because the truth isn't an apocalypse, it's a revolution. And look, the fear is totally understandable. We've all seen what AI can do. It writes code, makes art, and analyzes mountains of data in seconds. With tech giants like Amazon, Google, and Meta projected to pour a mind-boggling $650 billion into AI in 2026 alone, the pace of change feels relentless. Then you hear the CEO of a top AI company, Anthropic, speculate that AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs in just a few years, maybe pushing unemployment to a staggering 20%. It's a powerful prediction that plays on our deepest anxieties. But predictions aren't facts, and the facts, well, they're a lot more interesting. So where did this scary 50% number even come from? The truth is, it's not really backed up by any solid, large-scale studies. Instead, it's mostly a product of sensational headlines that twist the real findings of much more balanced research. Let's look at what the big economic reports really say. Goldman Sachs isn't screaming apocalypse. Their projection for the US puts AI job displacement around 6 to 7%, with a possible range between 3 and 14%, depending on how fast things move. That's a serious number, but it's nowhere near 50%. The World Economic Forum paints an even more interesting global picture. They forecast that AI will indeed displace a huge number of jobs, between 85 and 92 million worldwide by 2030. That sounds awful, and that's usually where the scary headlines stop. But they also predict that in that same time frame, AI will help create between 97 and 170 million new jobs. Do the math, and that's a net gain of millions of jobs around the world. Even in hard-hit markets, the 50% myth falls apart. A Morgan Stanley study in the UK found that while AI did contribute to an 8% net reduction in some roles over the past year, it also boosted productivity by 11% and led to a 15% increase in hiring for new AI-related positions in those same companies. It's not a story of pure destruction, it's a story of transformation. To put it all in perspective, actual AI-related layoffs in the United States during the first 11 months of 2025 totaled around 55,000. That's a real impact for those people, but it only accounts for 4.5% of all layoffs during that time. It's a universe away from the mass extinction event a 50% figure suggests. The evidence is clear. This isn't a wholesale elimination of jobs, but an automation of tasks and a shakeup of certain roles. Section 2. The real impact. High-risk sectors and occupations. Okay, so if the 50% apocalypse is a myth, does that mean we can all relax? Not so fast. While the big picture shows net growth, that masks the very real pain happening on the ground for individuals in certain industries. The change isn't happening evenly, it's concentrated, and in some areas, it's hitting hard. The most vulnerable jobs are those built on routine, predictable, entry-level work. Customer service and call centers are at the top of the list. With advanced chatbots and voice agents, some analysts predict that up to 80% of basic support roles could be automated. We're already seeing it happen as companies like Salesforce cut thousands of support jobs in 2025 while pouring money into AI. Next up are data entry and clerical positions. Jobs that are all about processing documents and typing in data are facing extinction, with millions of these roles at risk by 2027. The core function of these jobs is simply being done faster and cheaper by software. And here's a plot twist nobody saw coming. The tech industry isn't safe either. Entry-level roles for programmers and web designers are declining. A stunning report from Stanford University found that since the generative AI boom, workers aged 22 to 25 in jobs highly exposed to AI have already seen their employment fall by 13% relative to their peers. This is because AI is getting great at tasks like generating basic code or correcting software errors, which is one of the main uses for models like Claude. We see this in manufacturing and logistics too, where AI-powered robotics are expected to affect around 2 million roles by 2026. And in back-office jobs like accounting, AI is handling data analysis, reducing the demand for junior staff. This is leading to role compression, a fancy way of saying one person armed with AI is now expected to do the work that used to take a whole team. By 2026, nearly 4 in 10 companies expect to have replaced some workers with AI, hitting entry-level employees the hardest. Section 3, the other side of the coin, job creation and growth. But job loss is only half the story. For every scary headline about a job disappearing, there's a quieter, but just as powerful, story of a new job being born. The same AI that's automating tasks is also firing up a massive engine for growth and creating entirely new kinds of work. Remember the World Economic Forum. They're projecting the creation of up to 170 million new jobs globally by 2030. So where are they coming from? A recent LinkedIn report has already spotted 1.3 million new roles like AI engineers and data annotators, plus another 600,000 jobs just in building the data centers that power AI. In fact, AI engineer is now one of the fastest growing job titles on the platform. And these aren't just jobs for a few genius coders. A landmark MIT study that followed companies from 2014 to 2023 found that firms that adopted AI didn't just shrink their staff, they grew faster. They saw 9.5% higher sales growth, which then led to 6% higher employment growth, especially in high-wage jobs. This shows AI isn't just a cost cutter, it's a growth engine. PwC backs this up, finding that industries with more AI exposure are seeing 3 times the revenue growth per employee. The proof is in the paycheck. Workers with AI skills are now earning a staggering 56% more on average than their peers in the same role without those skills. That premium has more than doubled from just 25% a year ago, showing how fast the market is demanding AI fluency. Today, half of all tech job postings in the US already require some AI skills. We're seeing a boom in jobs that didn't really exist a few years ago. AI ethics officers, AI governance specialists, and human AI collaboration managers. The data is clear. On a large scale, AI is driving job growth and stability, even with all the friction it's causing in the short term. We are living through one of the biggest economic shifts in history. If you want to understand what's coming and how to stay ahead, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what we have next. So if the future isn't about mass unemployment, but mass transformation, how do you make sure you land on the right side of it? The answer is simple. Don't fight AI. Work with it. And the data shows we're better at this than you might think. A Brookings Institution study on the U.S. workforce found that out of 37.1 million workers in jobs with high AI exposure, the vast majority, about 26.5 million, also have a high capacity to adapt. This is based on things like their skills, savings, and access to new jobs. The most vulnerable group, with high exposure and low ability to adapt, is much smaller, at around 6.1 million people. The number one way to stay ahead? Upskilling and retraining. But here's the key. Research shows that training provided by your own company to meet its specific needs is far more effective at protecting you from automation and boosting your wages than generic programs. The skills needed for AI-exposed jobs are changing 66% faster than for other jobs, a pace that has more than doubled in the last year. It's all about learning flexible skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and, of course, AI fluency. Strategy number 2 is all about human-AI teamwork. A full 91% of companies say AI is changing existing jobs, not just eliminating them. People are shifting away from boring, repetitive tasks and toward higher value work that needs a human touch. The goal isn't to beat AI at its own game, but to be the person who can use AI to do more than was ever possible before. Finally, let's talk timing. The years between 2026 and 2028 are looking like the peak of this transition, where the change will be most intense. Building your AI literacy now isn't just a good idea, it's essential. Most employers say they'd rather retrain their current workers than go through mass layoffs, but ultimately, the responsibility is on each of us to be ready. So, that terrifying story about AI destroying half of all jobs, it's a myth, a powerful one for sure, but still a myth. The data tells a much more complicated and honestly, a much more hopeful story. This isn't extinction, it's evolution. The workforce isn't about to disappear, it's rotating toward a new era that blends our unique human strengths with incredible technology. The displacement is real, and the transition will be tough for millions in specific industries, but the creation of new roles, the surge in productivity, and the potential for new growth are just as real. The real question isn't if we'll have jobs in the future, it's what will those jobs be and who will be ready for them. The AI revolution is here, and it isn't waiting for anyone.